Here's the thing. When you're trying to control everything, you can't focus on anything that's truly important. And the first thing that I want you to stop wasting mental stress and energy on is the weather. You can't control the weather, but you can control whether or not it bothers you. Let me give you an example. So I live in southern Vermont and it's April, technically, supposed to be spring up here. My daffodils and tulips are starting to poke through and come up, and I'm so excited. I put our winter coats away. Well, guess what happened a few days ago? I woke up and there was freaking snow outside. Oh, here's the thing. Why would you waste any mental energy on that? Why cause stress? Why get frustrated? You can't control the weather. I mean, it would have been easy for me to pull open the shades and look outside and see my beautiful flower beds all covered with snow, right? And then to start stressing out about whether or not the bulbs are all trashed and, oh my gosh, I spent all this money on those bulbs and now they're not going to. But here's the thing. Does stressing about it change anything? No. So why on earth do you and I let it affect us? Now, I know it can feel obvious hearing me say you can't control the weather because you can't. But if it's so obvious, why do we cause ourselves mental distress? Why do we complain about it? Why do we spend time like working ourselves up? You know, I'm thinking right now about how much energy a bride or a groom burns through in an entire year as they think ahead and they worry about what the weather is going to be on their wedding day. Why do that? You can't control it. Once you have your plan A and your plan B, you're all set. So why even think about it? If it rains, it rains. But common sense isn't so common. And the weather does control you. I mean, how many times have you canceled plans or bailed on a run because bad weather has affected you? And I'm not talking about a tsunami that's hitting or a situation that's dangerous. I'm talking about normal, predictable, seasonal weather that you can expect. You've let a light rain shower prevent you from going outside and going on that walk, haven't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the dog can let itself out. I'm not going out in that stuff. Or heaven forbid, when it's super humid, that you leave the air conditioning in your house. You'll cancel plans like that. Unless you work for the Weather Channel, you waste way too much time thinking about it and being impacted by the weather. Here's what I want you to remember. A passing shower isn't going to kill you. So don't let it kill your plans. And it also passes. When there's a cloudy or stormy day, my friend Josh says this all the time, you know what's still up there above those stormy clouds? A bright, beautiful blue sky. Think about that moment on an airplane where you go through the clouds and then you get up above the clouds. What's always up there? A bright blue sky. Bad weather is actually an opportunity. It's an opportunity, if you look at it the right way and you don't let it control you, for you to practice discipline. In fact, there's a lot of science here that I want to share with you. Did you know that when you do things that you didn't want to do, like going outside for that walk, even though it's raining, the part of your brain that's called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex gets bigger. And when researchers look at this part of your brain, they see it as the seat of willpower. And not just willpower, but the actual will to live. And this is the only part of your brain that grows by doing things that you don't want to do. And so the weather isn't something for you to control, and it's not something that should control what you're doing. The weather is an opportunity for you to grow. So the next time it rains, don't complain. Just do what you planned on doing. Go out on that run, take that hike, go work in the yard, go walk the dog. It's going to help you. It's actually an opportunity to take control of yourself, of your life, of your discipline. And for all you brides and grooms out there who are worried about the weather, the single best wedding that I was ever at was hit with this epic rain and hailstorm that literally came out of nowhere. It was so big of a storm, one of those storms that comes across the Great Lakes in the Midwest, that one of the tents flooded. Literally, the top of it ripped open and waterfalled onto the dance floor. And to this day, Emily Glasser and Billy Sussman's wedding, 30 years later, is the single best wedding I have ever been to. The most memorable, the most fun. You want to know why? Not only because of the bride and the groom, but because of the storm. Maybe what your wedding needs is a good old-fashioned rainstorm. And maybe what you need is to learn how to run in the rain, because you're bigger than the weather. So stop complaining about it, because you can't control it. And that snow, by the way, it's cold, and tulips actually love cold weather, and they bloom longer when it's cold. So there's no reason to complain. I should be celebrating about it, because you can control whether or not that weather bothers you or stops you from doing what you need to do. And now that you know that, you're going to not let that happen anymore. So let's move on to the second surprising thing that you're wasting time and energy on. And that is, you cannot control the amount of time that you're forced to wait in line, but you can control what you do with your time while you're waiting. Let's go to an example involving traffic. I want you to think about sitting in your car, you're driving to work, and boom, all of a sudden you hit traffic. You may be sitting in traffic right now as you listen to me. And as you're in traffic, you start to get frustrated, don't you? You kind of grip the wheel, and then you hem and you haw and you tense up and you kind of hit the GPS. And I should. Why? Why do you do that? By the time that you get to work, you're so exhausted because you worked yourself up. You just burned through so much energy in the car being angry that traffic was backed up and delayed. Did any of that anger and stress help you get to work faster? Of course not. Did it move the traffic? No. Did it free up a lane? No. This is why it's so dumb to allow things that you can't control to impact you. Or let's take another example. You're waiting in line at the post office. You got your arms full of packages that you need to return. It's 2:15. The line is so long. You're out there on your lunch break. You're like, oh, should I stay? Should I not? So now you've committed to staying in line. And all of a sudden, there's somebody at the front, and they're taking so long. Do you want insurance with this package, honey? And you're like, oh my God, are you kidding me with this? And you're now starting to get irritated. Do you need some stamps while you're here? Oh my God, are they really going to buy stamps right now? We've all had these moments. Oh, and then all of a sudden you get close, and what does the clerk do? Oh, I got to go on my lunch break. Let me get somebody to fill in for, and you're like, oh, blah, blah. And these feelings of irritation and frustration, they rise up. Why? Because you feel like you're losing control of your time. You thought this was going to take 5 minutes. 15 minutes have passed by. I get it. You got somewhere to be. You got to get back to work. You squeeze this in on your lunch break, and now your lunch break is evaporating before your eyes. We've all been there. You can't control when you're going to be forced to wait in line, but you can control what you do with your time while you're waiting. What if you were to look at this not as some sort of slight by society or the post office or traffic? What if you were to look at this as found time instead of lost time? Maybe this is just the universe giving you time back. I mean, let's go back to the traffic example again. You're driving along, and all of a sudden things slow way down as everybody merges into a one-lane road. And guess what's right in front of you? A truck. Of course. And so you're winding and you're going slower. And in that moment, can you control what's happening? No. And there's no use to get yourself all stressed out or cause yourself some sort of distress in your mind or start freaking out about it. And there's this great post that's gone really viral that talks about this exact moment when you get stuck behind a truck on a one-lane road and you're forced to slow down. It's a cue to yourself that this truck is sent by a guardian angel. It's slowing you down on purpose to avoid whatever is around the corner or at your destination or maybe somewhere along the way that's not meant for you or that may cause you harm. Do you see how that now puts you into control? So as you slow down, sip your coffee and look at this as an opportunity to be grateful for this time and to practice having patience. And if it's at nighttime and this happens, just imagine that this truck is running point for you, lighting up the way. Isn't that a beautiful way to take control? Because you can't control the times where life slows you down, but you can control what you do with that time. And when you look at it like a gift, you take the control back. And there's so many things you could do. You could turn on Rosetta Stone, one of the sponsors of this podcast, and listen to that French lesson that you started, but you haven't had time to finish. Or you could call a friend. This is one of my favorite things to do when I'm driving. Hands-free. and just talk to somebody while you're driving behind that guardian angel truck. You could start to see this as not lost time, but time that's been given back to you as an opportunity. You can even do this at the post office. So let's go back to the line at the post office. Instead of standing there getting frustrated and flustered, which only makes you feel like you're losing control, it only makes the time go by faster. What if you use this found time and you take a moment to text someone that you've been thinking about just to say hi? One goal of mine this year is to be more closely connected to my family. So I could use that time waiting in line as a sign from the universe that I just gained a moment to reach out to my nephews. They were in a water polo tournament all weekend long, and I want to congratulate them on their wins. How cool is that? Or have an audiobook or a podcast like this one queued up so that you got something that is your go-to in those moments. Because you can't control the time when you're going to be forced to slow down or to wait. But you can control what you do with your time while you're waiting. So make something important happen. That's what you can control. Even if what you make happen in those moments is just practice staying calm or being in the moment or practicing gratitude. And the more that you do that, the more you'll realize how much time and energy you do have at your disposal to use in small and big ways. Why does this stupid stuff get to us? There's that one friend that's always late. You know that your roommate is not going to take the trash out. They haven't done it for a year, so why do you get upset when they don't do it? You know that your significant other is going to start snoring as soon as they fall asleep. So why am I trying to control this? And more importantly, why am I getting upset about it?